I'll be doing a repair to the Sette 270 from Baratza. They sent me this for free, which is amazing because I didn't do anything to deserve it. I didn't pay their company anything. They just sent it to me as a repair, which is great because they're trying to help repair a lot of things and encourage people to reuse their machine. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on this today. Stick around and you'll get to see a lot of the stuff that we're doing today. Okay, for the sake of this video, the only tools that you will need is a cloth and a T10 Torx bit, which is just like this, the kind of star bit setup. So I don't know which one is T10, we'll find out. Let's just go ahead and get started. So the first thing it says, tilt the machine forward on the hand towel. And take this out of place. I know I'm going to need this off, so I'm going to go ahead and twist the bean hopper off, and we're going to, let's see, tilt the machine on a hand tower, resting the machine on its face. Which one is the face? Is this the face? Yeah, I think so. So I've got it rested on its face, and it's obviously that way because this is looking at the bottom. And then it says remove the rear rubber foot. Rear rubber foot. Okay. I don't have a rubber foot on mine. I think mine fell off actually. That could be problematic. Might need it later. But for now, I have what appears to be the T10 in here, and the T10 is obviously one of the smaller ones, so now I'm going to just try and figure out which one that is. Is it this one? That's pretty close. Maybe even a little smaller. Okay, that is it. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this T10 bolt. Remember to always hold on to your little bolts. Keep them close by where you remember where they go. I think for the sake of my video, I'm going to go ahead and put them in my milk steamer where I know where they're at. Because I'm not making milk, because I can't make espresso. Alright, let's see. Next, remove 4 T10 screws and the 1 screw torque. Okay, I'm not seeing 4 T. Let's see, is it underneath here? Remove the 4 T10 screws. So they're obviously under. Okay, so each one of these has a little footing under it. You remove the rubber footing, and then you can get to your T10 squares. I'm going to go ahead and remove all of these. Hope you can see that. And I hope this video helps somebody somewhere who's having the same kind of problems. That's my goal with these videos, is that, you know, if I were to go look it up, Baratza's kind of great in that they have a lot of that stuff already out there. But for somebody who maybe does not know a lot about this stuff and you can find this, it would be great. Alright, they don't always recommend using this or say to use them, but I'm going to use one just because it comes in handy all the time for me. A little pick that I can go in here and when screws don't come off the way they're supposed to or something, which is obviously the case right here. I also don't have one of those cool magnetic ones, you know, where it's magnetic and it comes right out. That would be helpful. I feel like real mechanics have that kind of stuff. Man, let's remove them. These are all the same, so if you mess one up or something doesn't come off, it's okay. I like forgiveness when it comes to working on stuff, because you know what, I would just prefer my grinder to be working fine all the time. And machine back up and gently pull the silver hopper towards the back of the grinder. Silver hopper towards the back. Hey, look at that. Well, that's a pretty cool moment. And there we have it, comes apart. Look, to leave the wire connections intact, rest the back case on the unit as pictured below. So you're just supposed to kind of sit them off to the front, but not take it off completely. Although the capacitor will be discharged unless there are extenuating circumstances, exercise caution, as is potentially, that's this capacitor, potentially has a high voltage charge that can shock you if the contacts are touched. So, and then of course you'll need the Sette motor gearbox assembly, which is what we're looking at here today. That they sent me. We're going to be taking this old one out, replacing it with a new one. Can't wait. Cannot wait. Okay. Remove the case using our case removal guide, and then here we go to step 2. Possible high voltage for the capacitor. We already read that. Normally discharged, however, it may retain a charge. Do not touch. So we're going to avoid that guy. Unplug the wires from the back of the motor. Know how the wires are routed before removing. What I'm going to notice is, if you see here, red is on top, black is on bottom. Okay? So we're going to remove that. Red on top. And you want to kind of keep the plastic on there if at all possible. Nothing ever works as planned. Plastic's coming off easy, but not so much on that. And I think it's because this is not tight. There we go. That one's off. Let's take the black one off as well. Pliers not cooperating. Okay, let's try these guys. This one looks like it's going to work a little better. Okay, black on bottom, red on top. This is kind of like how you would assemble something very dangerous, obviously. It reminds me of those movies where you're watching which screw not to touch. Okay, and then we have remove the 4 screws that fasten the motor gearbox assembly to the chassis. I'm going to keep these separate, and I'm going to put these in here. That's what I'm going to do. Let's see if they're the same. They are the same. There's 4 of these, and we're just going to remove all 4. Again, magnetic tool would probably be fantastic. I do not have one. So it's always a potential that something's going to fall off in here. See if my pliers can do it. Then to help you not lose them. Okay, on to the next step. Lift, remove the gearbox motor. So according to this, it's just going to come out. Hey. Remove gearbox motor. I'm going to set this a little bit off the side so as not to mess with the wiring, and you'll notice that, and I wasn't expecting that, but this is just totally loose in here. Now what it didn't say in the beginning is to take off my burr, which is still on. Kind of hard to get this out without the burr off. So I'm going to take that out of the way, and I just found a screw that dropped. Alright, and there is my old part, which, you know, I'm looking at it and it doesn't, maybe that screw that fell out in this little clamp have something to do with it. Who knows? Okay, set it aside. I sure don't like seeing clamps and stuff like that because it makes me think I'm forgetting something. All right. Debris in there, not too bad. Insert the new gearbox. Okay, here we go. Insert this new gearbox. Not too difficult. I was expecting a much more difficult assignment than this. I don't know. Plug in the motor wires. Okay, hope we're all still seeing this. My memory's still good enough that I remember that I have to go red on the top and not bend it, hopefully. Press that in. And black on the bottom. Okay. Can't see, I just went red on top, black on the bottom. This guy's still kind of freely suspended on the front here. And I'm going to take a wild guess and go, the next step is to reinstall the screws. Okay, let's go ahead and reinstall our screws here. It'd be crazy if I put this thing back together and it still does the same thing, but I will be a better espresso machine operator because of fixing my fantastic grinder. This grinder I do love. I've probably mentioned it in videos before, but I purchased it for $150 and did not realize that it had a bunch of problems. I was just kind of going for the brand, and I knew this was the one that I wanted for that next step in my espresso game, and so this is the one I got, and it needed immediately some parts that I did not have, and I got them. And yeah, so it's not been a perfect machine by any, you know, it's a great magnet is this new part. Taking the screw away from me when I try. This thing is fully magnetized. Wow. This is like a science experiment here. Look at that thing. That thing is charged. Whoa. And it makes everything around it charged too. maybe in the future, don't reconnect it until you get the screws in. Yikes. This is fun. My goodness. You get to watch me do this. Okay. I'm going to take this back off because it is causing me some problems. Come on. They kind of guided in here. I am the worst. Oy, 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 oy. Nightmare scenario, I promise you. Oh my goodness. Okay, this thing, way too many problems for this. Okay, maybe that'll help. It's still magnetized. Has to be both of them. Okay. I realize that this is probably just common sense to most folks, but I am a person who sometimes lacks that. So I'm just putting these in finger tight. All right, there we go. Now I can go ahead and tighten it. Okay, now with that, plug the motor wires, take care to match red to wire to the top, reinstall the case hopper and adjustment ring to return the unit to operation. So it sounds like we just from here put it back together. How cool is that? So I'm going to take this around, taking very careful to keep my wires in place. You know, I know that they are not welcome inside that burr chamber. So let's get those out of the way. All right. And they have little plastic grooves that should kind of pop this thing into place. And then we're going to take these screws, put them all back into place. Hopefully these will not be anywhere near as magnetic as the other ones were. Okay. What is this little plastic piece? I never like to see that. That definitely could be something important. You know what? I'm going to pause and call. I don't know what that is. Mount screws? Why do I have these? maybe they fell off of that. Oh, the wonders. Okay, at that point, I believe we are back together again. Let's go back to my document. With new gearbox installed, the grind calibration may change. Add or remove shims. I already have shims in here, so I shouldn't need that. See shim installation to avoid clogging. All right, it should be showtime. Let's give it a whirl. And okay, if you've never done this before, you want to line up the blue to the right hand side like so. There's a blue notch right here on the side, and then you just turn it around and you'll feel it kind of locking in.